before I actually get into this video, one thing to do. At the start of this year, I kind of had a list of musicals that I personally really wanted to see on the West End. Not because like some theatre critics make a list of shows they want to see on the West End because they think they suit what people want to see, how the West End looks at the time. No, it was just a list of musicals I wanted to see on the West End because I'm selfish and I wanted to see them. And on that list was Heathers. And a lot of the list were very unrealistic musicals that I wanted to see, and Heathers was one that it was more on the unrealistic scale purely because it never made it officially to Broadway, so I didn't see it making the transfer from regional US productions to a West End production. Yet, we kind of got there. It hasn't got a full West End run, it's being workshopped at the Other Palace. And so this isn't necessarily just a review, but kind of talking about the experience of seeing something in a workshop form rather than in full-blown musical, what you'd usually expect to see. So Heathers is a musical that I know very well. I've listened to the soundtrack a lot, and I will hold my hands up guilty and say that I have watched the bootleg twice. I do have a rule with bootlegs, is that I only watch productions that have ended, just because I feel less bad then. I know it's still illegal, but there's so much of this show that I was so confused about how they were going to put it on stage that I caved and I found the bootleg, which isn't difficult to find. Someone may want to get on that. But anyway, so I'm really familiar with the show, and so when I heard rumours that it would be coming to the West End, I was hyped. But the Other Palace's Work in Progress scheme, this is actually the first show that they've done as a work in progress. They take it into the studio space of their theatre, and it's got no set, minimal props and minimal costume. My one wish that I wanted for the Heathers when I heard it was minimal costume was that there were still the colour block, like the block colour blazers, and I got that and more, so I'm happy! And then like a few props that were just needed for the show were there as well. But yeah, they adapted really well to the tiny space, and they used a couple of like entrances and exits through the audience as well. It was just, they did very well considering how tiny the studio is at the Other Palace. But just to talk a little bit more about how it worked, because it was a work in progress, and because they've started rehearsing about a week ago, so big props to everyone involved at how good it looked, because I would not have been able to do a musical in a week. It's just insane to think about. The actors did have their scripts on them at times, but they rarely actually referred to them, and they kind of used them well. They were like in school folders and they'd all been decorated according to the characters. So it worked well. And another thing they'd done, because it was this work in progress rather than a full show, is the director was sat at a little table nearby where I was sat, reading the stage directions at the beginning of the scene and like when they came up in the scenes. This was useful for like if there was any big piece of set or props that were missing. So for example, in Heather Chandler's death scene, they didn't actually have any mugs, and for anyone that's familiar with the story, the mugs play a very big part in her death. So when Veronica picks up the wrong one, it was read over the top that Veronica picks up the wrong mug. So you know, it fills in things that you may not have known if you weren't familiar, and because there was no set or props, it just helped to smooth things out a little bit. There were a couple of changes from the production that I know. So the song Blue was taken out and replaced with You're Welcome, which is from Heathers 101, which is the version of the show that was made for high schools across America to perform. It just takes out a lot of the sex and drugs references, and I think there were other lyrics changes that I believe were also from Heathers 101 because it just removed anything that's a bit harsh for audiences to hear, really. Some other stuff that's a bit on the same scale as Blue, and I know a lot of people don't actually like You're Welcome, but I find Blue a very uncomfortable song to listen to, let alone to watch, so I was actually quite happy with the replacement of You're Welcome. And yeah, I think You're Welcome works well, even if it's maybe not song-wise as good as Blue. It's definitely much better as an audience member to witness, and it serves the same purpose, so I'm not going to complain. As audience members, we were invited to use our phones as part of the experience. No like photos or videos or anything crazy like that, but they have an app called Sli.do. I'll try and get a better thing of this. Sli.do, it's just called Sli.do, and you put in a code for whatever event you're at. So this one was Heathers, and it just lets you see questions that people are asking about the show, and then you get to fill in a poll where they put in some like questionnaire questions, and you get to say what your opinions are, which is really good for a show like this where they're still workshopping with the intention to bring it to a bigger stage, because it just helps to narrow down what audiences are thinking. And I think this is also a really useful app for other shows I've been to. I've been to like some devised shows where they've asked for feedback, and I think like this app could be used like to change a lot of theatre criticism and stuff. I think it would be really cool. But anyway, this production was amazing. I loved the cast. Were all so good, especially considering how little time they had, as I mentioned earlier. The only person I was familiar with beforehand was Charlotte Wakefield, but everyone else was just as incredible, and I loved the fact that they brought this show to life that I've been wanting to see for ages, and they just put so much energy into it that there were moments that you forgot how small the theatre was, because they brought it all so big to life and so good. So yeah, I'm excited to see where the show will go next. I don't know if they'll get enough response to take it to the West End, but if they do, I will be there. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know down below what you think about Heathers, whether you've seen it in America, Canada, wherever it's been on, because I really love this show and want to talk about it. And check out my social network links, they'll be in the description as usual. Share this video with your friends so that everyone can see it, and most importantly, if you want to see more videos like this, remember to subscribe. Bye!